guys, it's Bondle and Jolly with Elevate in 365, and thanks for joining today's casual conversation. I am super excited to have the guest that I have today. This is my brother-in-law, Kyle Jolly, and Kyle is not in the real estate sector at all. He is actually an Emmy-Award winning producer and most recently served as an executive producer for the Marvel Avengers series. So I think everybody's familiar with the Avengers stories, and if you're not, I don't know, is this one of the Avengers?
This is actually Black Panther, and just recently we finished our season 5 of Avengers Assemble for Disney's, before the Disney Plus, they had the Disney Network, and the 5th season was all about Black Panther. It was called Black Panther's Quest.
So yes, Kyle has like the coolest job ever in the universe. He grew up reading comic books and always like fantasized about doing what he does, you know, as a professional, and like here you are. And we've been following your story. You've been out in Hollywood for what, like almost 25 years?
Yeah, yes.
Working inside the industry, working inside creative teams, you know, building yourself up to become somebody that works like on Marvel. So, you know, with our real estate audience, like I think we want to talk a little bit today about sort of, you know, that idea of reinventing yourself, keeping things fresh. Our real estate audience is always, you know, working on that next deal, having to market themselves, having to reinvent a lot. Everybody's getting ready for 2020. And so, you know, how do you guys, like, what are some of the secrets of how you work with your teams and how you guys kind of keep the fresh ideas, the fresh marketing and things coming out of the Marvel machine?
Well, one of the interesting things is that you have certain restrictions because you have the consumer products division, which is tied to the look of a show. So they want it to be a certain way, and then you have the fans who also want it a certain way, and then you have your artists and your creators who want a certain look. So you have to make your changes kind of excrementally along the way, and it has to make sense for everyone. You have to have multiple people sign off. So that is something where you have to be creative within a structure.
Okay, so I'm kind of curious. So how much control does the consumer have over the look and feel and even the storylines, like the evolution of characters? Is that like a big part, or do you guys have pretty defined ideas of what's going to happen and you have to kind of sell that to the audience?
You know, we have the luxury of having these great storylines from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, up until into now the 2000s that we can go off of, and some of them are very iconic storylines that we've seen how the public has responded to these type of storylines, and how they have sort of a universal interest. And you see that with something like the Avengers Infinity War, where that was and is the highest grossing movie, Avengers Endgame, ever. And it's because of these iconic storylines that we know that the public has already grasped in some degree, and then we can take those iconic storylines and we can put them out there in different forms.
Okay, so it's kind of interesting when you talk about like these storylines, right? So when I'm working with our clients, you know, on their marketing initiatives, we always kind of say, okay, who are you, right? Like, what are your interests? What is your knowledge? What are your skill sets? And then how do we layer kind of this cool storytelling on top of that whole thing? And you're basically saying you guys do the same thing.
Yes.
So, you know, there's Black Panther, there's kind of who he is, what that background is, that history of him. But then you're always kind of finding new ways to sort of develop his storylines to keep him fresh. You know, and that aligns in a lot of ways across all business verticals, really.
Yes.
But you guys just have a really fun way of making it like super sexy because it's, you know, Marvel.
Yes, yes. But it still comes down to, it's still a product that we're selling. And it's still, so you have to keep that in mind at all times, that whatever you're creating, whether it's this cartoon, the Avengers you're working on, or the cartoon that me and my partner are developing right now, you have to think about it as a product, and you have to think about how it's going to go into the market to keep it sustainable, because great stories will not sustain it. It's a business. So you have to have a property that's viable, that's hot, that people really accept as something that they want to own. And so as long as you're thinking about it that way and creatively, you're gonna have the best of both worlds.
Right, and so I know you mentioned your story, the Maya story that you're creating. So this is really cool. Kyle is a fantastic writer. He's written a lot of different kinds of scripts. He's done cartoon work, all kinds of things. And he and a business partner are developing an entirely new television series right now that is very heavily focused on the Hispanic market. So tell us a little bit about, like, how did you guys sort of get this process started? Like, what was your creative, storytelling process like?
Well, my partner came to me with this idea for a girl that was unstoppable, and she's called Maya Unstoppable. And it's part of an actual larger IP of a world of unstoppable kids who merge with gods from all different cultures around the world. And these kids are kids who are kind of outcasts, oddballs, special, as people would call them, with special needs. And because they are special, they are able to transform out of the ordinary and become extraordinary.
I like that. Yeah, that's really cool. And so in looking at it from, that idea of it being business model, right, and a product, like, why are you tapping the Hispanic market? Like, where did you see that as an opportunity or a niche to kind of position yourself?
Well, we really love the heritage, but we also love that market because it's such an emerging market, and it's underserved for superheroes in general, and especially for girl superheroes. So we saw that there was a niche there in the Hispanic market, in the South American territories, for a property that really embraces their culture, really embraces their way of life and their history and their myths. And we were able to tap into that to initiate this new universe of unstoppable characters.
Well, that's really cool. And so one thing that's kind of interesting in the real estate market, we're always trying to help people find sort of these niche opportunities, right? Particularly like if you're, say Los Angeles, we're in Los Angeles right now, we have real estate agents who just specialize in the Hollywood Hills or just specialize in working with celebrity clientele or people that specialize in the LGBTQ communities.
Wow.
And so it's kind of like the same sort of premise when you kind of, look at really the foundation of why you guys are doing what you're doing, who you're targeting, right? And it kind of all comes around back to the real estate space for us too.
Yeah, it's all about really properties, because that's what, if you talk about when you have an IP as an independent property. And it's sort of akin to real estate in that you have to get your property out there to the right people who will fall in love with it, who will invest in it. And it's funny because my creative partner, who lives in Cabo San Lucas, does real estate down there.
It is a small world, isn't it? That's really funny. So in the real estate sector, some of the big marketing channels, that we work with our clients on are, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Now you're probably getting to play with some of like the really cool stuff though, because of who you're going after, like TikTok and Snapchat. And so what is it like developing, or kind of how do you guys stay on top of the trends of what all the kids are currently doing, and how do you stay, involved in that?
Research. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of talking to kids. A lot of spending time with, talking to 5-year-olds, talking to 7-year-olds, talking to 11-year-olds to see what they're into. and then trying to cater to them. They are our consumers.
And that age is a really fun age to talk to because they're going to be so blatantly honest with you. And if they don't like what your superheroes are like up to, they're going to let you know that. I think adults have a little bit more of a tendency, to want to be a little polite about that stuff. But a 5-year-old, no filter.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great because when you're going out and you're pitching these things to your executives, everyone loves everything. So you can't really gauge it on that. So getting those unfiltered, honest opinions from the kids helps really direct our focus.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your story. We'll be, following the Maya story and watching that come to fruition. Everybody, thanks so much for dialing in. If you are looking to reinvent yourself or maybe try to figure out what kind of niche markets or opportunities that you have for 2020, check us out at tryelevate.com. Reach out and talk to one of our success coaches. And otherwise, we release new content every Friday, so we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Nice.